Okay. Hello, everyone. Let's let people get in here, start joining. I'll give everyone a couple of seconds to go ahead and get in here before we start everything up. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Guide to Volunteering at NACAC 2025 in Columbus. I'm Michaela. I'm one of the members of the Professional Development Committee for the OACAC. So today we have Kathy Moore and Austin Martin going to present to you guys a little bit about how you can get involved with NACAC and those sorts of things. So I'll go ahead and hand it over to them so they can go ahead and introduce themselves.
Wonderful, Michaela. Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. Super excited to be here today. And we're going to go over a lot of great information for you about what we've got so far in terms of volunteering and things we're going to do for the Columbus NACAC. And then what's really exciting is that Kathy and I will also present at the OACAC annual conference in March. So if you have additional questions afterwards, or if there's something that we didn't quite discuss, there's obviously more to come. This is a fluid project and we're building every single day, but we're excited to really be here this morning to talk about some of the things that we've learned, some of the things that we're excited to share, and some of the things that are still in the works as well. So here's our agenda and what we're going to look at too. We're going to look at who are those subcommittees. So Kathy and I are, the local arrangements committee. We are overseeing all of the different subcommittees, but we're going to show you what those different subcommittees are, what each one looks like, and who's representing those two. We're obviously going to talk about information on volunteering and what that looks like, not only during the conference, but leading up to it, and why that whole week is really important for our members too. Kathy and I had the opportunity to connect with NACAC in person last week and really talk about some things that we saw when we were in the Los Angeles NACAC conference of 2024 and what we want to prepare for and what we want to maybe do differently here in Columbus in 2025. And then obviously next steps. It's February now and we're talking about September, but that time goes really quickly and there's a lot of information that we're going to get through too. And we're really excited to talk about that. So, as Michaela mentioned, my name is Austin Martin. I serve as the Senior Assistant Director here at Ohio State, but I am not the only co-chair of this great committee. So I'm going to turn it over to Kathy to introduce herself as well.
Thank you, Austin. Good morning, everyone. So I am Kathy Moore, and I am the College and Career Counselor at Upper Arlington High School. And as Austin said, I am super excited as well to be here with everyone this morning, and just excited to be a part of this awesome conference that will be coming in the fall. And so we will go ahead and get started, and then obviously we will be. If you have questions, throw them into the chat at any point. We will answer all questions at the end. And we will go ahead and get started.
Yeah, most definitely. We want this to be a continuous discussion. So we hope it's not just Kathy and I presenting to you. We hope it's a fluid conversation between all of us as we go throughout this process and out this next 45 minutes as well. So this is the lineup here of the different committees that are a part of the LAC. So you'll see there the different 7 subcommittees on the left, and then you'll see who is a part of them from both the high school side as well as that institution side for the college side as well. So when we really thought about who we wanted on this committee, we wanted obviously representation from all over the state. But we also thought, all right, who is going to really represent not only their institution, but the conference itself and the state organization too. So that was kind of our first task as Kathy and I looked at those different subcommittees and how we wanted to go about that as well. So each one of these different subject areas, these different subcommittees will specialize in a different area. And later, Kathy and I will talk about how you all sign up to volunteer and if there's a specific area that you're looking to volunteer in. Some of the different subcommittees will have more volunteers, some will have maybe a little bit less in terms of the demand for all that and kind of what that looks like for that conference here in these next couple of months as well. But that's the list of our subcommittees. So Kathy and I aren't the only ones doing this, and there's no way we could do it alone. So we're very excited for all these folks who are volunteering their time. That's another one I think we should represent or recognize is that this is a volunteer piece as part of OACC and as a part of NACAC. So we're very excited to work alongside some great individuals representing their institutions for this great conference as well.
I
So
just
let's
want to
take,
add on one
yeah, go
thing.
ahead, Kathy.
I know that some of the subcommittee members are probably on the webinar right now, so feel free to throw information into the chat if there's anything that you want to share. Austin also mentioned previously that we will be presenting at OACAC, and our hope is that some of our subcommittee members will be joining us to present, during that conference as well. So you will be hearing much more from that awesome committee as we continue to move closer to conference.
Yeah, most definitely. And if you have specific questions, you can always reach out to Kathy and myself after this. And if you've got questions about the different subcommittees, again, we're always happy to help and always get you connected to those different subcommittee chairs to make sure that those questions get answered as well. So this is just a little bit more in depth, at least this first slide, and then the rest of the subcommittees are on the next slide about what each of those committees is going to overall represent for the entire conference too. So I'm going to call out the college tour one because that's the one where we're going to see a lot of need for those volunteers. So what's really exciting is that NACAC, while here in Columbus, it's great that we're able to showcase not only our Central Ohio institutions, but institutions across the state of Ohio as well. So it's really exciting for different folks to come in from different parts of the globe, maybe on Monday or Tuesday, to explore some different institutions across the state before they make their way over here to the Central Ohio area and Columbus for the actual conference itself. So that's where we're going to see a lot of the volunteer need is when we have the different buses running and the convention center and things like that. So that's a big one. But as you can see, there's different areas for advocacy, hospitality, and obviously the local counselor experience too. And so the subcommittees are working hard individually right now. And then what Kathy and I do is we'll connect with them now that we've connected with NACAC to kind of set up a time frame to meet individually with them, and then as a group with NACAC too, to make sure we're on track with our tasks and we are where we need to be to make sure Columbus is as great as it was in 2016. So we're really excited to see these subcommittees, and then these are the other subcommittees too. So the logistical arrangements, registration, and special events too. Registration will be another big one, is where we'll need the volunteers from when folks actually show up. So if you've never been to a NACAC conference before, if you don't know the size and scope, there's probably going to be about 7,000 to 8,000 people here in the city during this 3-day week, or this 3-day conference, I should say. So registration is going to be a big one. We know some folks will come in on Tuesday. We know folks will come in on Wednesday. That's going to be the bulk of it because the conference starts on Thursday too. So registration will be a big one. But these are all the different areas. And then again, what Kathy and I will drop in the chat is the actual link where you can sign up to volunteer for these. So what we listed in that Google form is we've listed the different subcommittees, but then also to the people who are in charge of that subcommittee. So if you're going, Austin, hey, we can't remember who was in charge of registration or who was in charge of college tours, it's on that form for you to look at too, so you can see who represents those, and then obviously reach out to them if you have specific questions as well. So
Austin, if you could go
Kathy,
back, can you go
yeah,
back one slide to the first?
sure.
One more. There you go. So we want volunteers. Obviously, we will need all hands on deck to make this an awesome conference. But if you feel a particular, need to help with a certain area, or you feel like that one really pertains to you more than any others, feel free to specifically choose. But I just want to mention the hospitality. This is one that if you absolutely love Columbus and you know everything Columbus in terms of what's going on, what are the great restaurants, what are the must-see and do's in Columbus, that would be an awesome committee for you to help with, because that hospitality one is really showcasing our incredible city and just really bringing people together for a great experience. The other thing that I just want to mention is that local conference, the local counselor conference experience. So this is another one where I know as we go on, Austin will talk a little bit more, or me, one of us will talk more about what our goal is with local counselors. But this is one where, we want high school counselors to be a part of this and to be involved. And we really want to grab school counselors from all over the state. So this is one that if you're a school counselor and you're really looking for new opportunities and to meet up and do some more professional development and be a part of things and have fun, and this would be a great area for you to volunteer with as well. So I just kind of wanted to highlight a few of those. Thank you, Austin.
Most definitely. Thank you, Kathy. All right, Kathy. So folks looking to volunteer, do you want to tell them how they do that, when we need them? So I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. So we will need the majority of volunteers that we will need are going to be Monday evening, and that is September 15th, and that is for the registration bag stuffing. So we are not exaggerating when we say we will need about 100 volunteers. So, absolutely, if you are interested, we want you to volunteer for that evening. However, we really think one of the biggest ways to get large number of volunteers is if we get large groups of people coming together. So, for example, if you can connect, if you're a high school counselor and you are a part of your National Honor Society, if you can bring all of those kids, or if you have an athletic team that likes to do a lot of service, if you can bring that team over. So, that is just going to be a big night, and it's just kind of the kickoff to the conference. And so, if we have everybody helping and that goes smoothly, I think we will have a great day on Tuesday and the rest of the week as well. So again, and that's also NACAC provides food for us. Parking is covered by NACAC. Austin and I talk about maybe doing some fun, raffle tickets or things that we can do during the night that will just help to keep it really fun and productive as well. Tuesday and Wednesday are mostly the college tours, as Austin mentioned previously. So those aren't the huge heavy traffic days, but we still will need volunteers during the day on Tuesday. Wednesday, it's going to start picking up more. So, but even if you're volunteering for college tours, we're going to need people to help out Rayanne and Tom with holding signs or being near buses and communicating information. So again, I mean, no job is too big or too small. We really need everybody involved. So there's the how can I sign up to volunteer? So there's the Google form that we have dropped into the chat. So feel free to fill that out and let us know if you have specific wants in terms of volunteering or if you just want to volunteer in general. And as we also noted in the Google Doc that as we get closer, we will put a sign up genius together so that we'll have specific times, like 2 to 4, 4 to 6, that kind of stuff. Because right now it's a little early. Right now, we just want to find out if you are interested in volunteering and we want to get as much information as we can. So,
Yeah, most definitely. And we'll drop the link here in the chat just a moment for those folks who weren't able to see it the first time. But really just want to call out what Kathy mentioned at the beginning. The number of 100 is not a number that we concocted. It's what NACAC has shared with us to say we're really going to need those most volunteers on that first day to get those bags stuffed as well. Hopefully, NACAC can also get us the information or get us the materials early. That's a big thing in terms of what that looks like and who's responsible for that. So Kathy and I are responsible for getting the volunteers. We're doing that early, making sure people recognize what day is going to be the most important. Because maybe you say, you know what, I want to volunteer on Monday, maybe be on a college tour Tuesday, Wednesday, and then the conference starts on Thursday. So really just planning out what that week looks like. And then again, we get the volunteers and NACAC will get us the materials. And we want to make sure that that time is as exciting as it can be. Having snacks and having your friends there and just meeting new people and just a great way to collaborate as well to make sure the conference starts off the best it can be. That really sets the tone to make sure the bags are stuffed, everybody's having a good time. And the rest of the week, everything's laid out. College tours are great. Conference starts off really well. So we're excited for that too. So, all right, we're going to jump over
The other
here.
thing that we had the other thing that we had talked about is we know that there's several of you that have already reached out to us to volunteer, and we've kind of started writing your names down on a Google Doc. But we would love it if you could now go ahead and fill out that the Google form as well. If you don't, no worries, we will still get in touch with you and we will specifically share that with you. But if you've already reached out to us, please do fill out that form. That would be really helpful as we create a larger spreadsheet of potential volunteers. Okay, so here's the dates. Saturday, well, September 18th through the 20th are the actual dates, but remember, we're talking about the whole week because we will need a whole entire week of volunteers. And there's the goal to have school counselors from all 88 Ohio counties. That would be amazing to pull that off. And we are going in as a committee knowing that we will reach that goal because we have an incredible committee. And I will tell you that Derek and Stephanie, who are the co-chairs for that subcommittee, are already doing an outstanding job. They've met with NACAC several times. They're doing all sorts of great things in order to reach that goal. So, and then we talk a little bit about institutions planning their own tours. So hopefully we will have lots of tours. We have so many amazing colleges throughout the state of Ohio. So I think that Rayanne and Tom will be very busy with their subcommittee in terms of the tours. And then Austin, do you want to talk about Ohio State specifically?
Yeah, most definitely. So for us as Ohio State, my team and I, what we are looking at doing is we're going to have counselor visits Monday and Tuesday. So we have our daily visits at 9 and 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So Monday and Tuesday, we will have those visits going, our traditional visits where we give an admissions overview presentation, and then we have our student ambassadors tour them around campus as well. So Monday and Tuesday, kind of business as usual. Wednesday, what we're going to do is we're going to do kind of a little bit more specific information because we know that's going to be the bulk of when people are coming to not only the city of Columbus, but also the state of Ohio to see these counts or see these tours as well. So what we're doing as a team is we're doing a day where counselors can come and go as they please. So we'll have some stuff in the morning, we'll have some stuff in the afternoon, a little bit larger than just a traditional admissions overview and a tour. We'll have different sessions for them to check out. We'll have different programs for the domestic side, the transfer side, and the international side for not only counselors, but for also the higher ed side too. So that's a big component, and we're working on that. But really the big thing is just wanted to make sure that NACAC knows when you're thinking about doing those different tours. That way you can provide them with your schedules. That way you can provide them with the different bus times and different bus options as well. And then obviously Thursday through Saturday is the conference. So NACAC is strongly encouraging folks to not do anything Thursday through Saturday as well. So that's kind of the big one to understand. When's the best time for that? Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We know some college tours will overlap with others. It's just impossible with all these different great institutions here in the state to really have our own individual time frame. But again, just wanted to call out there for those higher ed institutions like Ohio State to say, hey, we know you're planning your own days, you're planning your visits. That's great. Continue to do that. Continue to collaborate with our college tour group, and then Kathy and myself, and then also NACAC as well. So that's a big one for that. So Kathy, I'll turn it back over to you to really talk about when registration will open and do volunteers need to be members?
Yep. So NACAC's goal is for registration to open in late March. We put early April in case it's a little late, but their goal is to push registration out in late March. So, if as every year with NACAC, if you're looking to use the hotels and be a part of the whole conference, it's always good to register on the early side. So be on the lookout, kind of put that in your calendar so you know when that's coming out. And then we just want to clarify that volunteers do not need to be NACAC members. However, they do need to be registered for the conference. So I know we had a question about that before the webinar began, so we wanted to make sure we clarified that information as well.
Yeah, so those are big ones for folks, and very similar to kind of the volunteering piece. We know that some of those high school students probably aren't going to be NACAC members. They don't need to be registered for the conference, but for the majority of our volunteers, yep, got to be registered for that actual conference itself.
Yep.
All right. So we recognize that there is still going to be some questions, and folks, we'd love for you to drop your questions in the chat if you have them. And we can kind of go through those pieces if there's something that, is on top of your mind that we maybe didn't get to as well. But really after today, if you've got additional questions, you can always reach out to Kathy and myself. And I think that's the big one. We're always happy to help, and then either get you in touch with our different subcommittees if it's a specific question for them, or even we can follow up with NACAC directly, as they've been a great resource for us and directly too. The other component is that Kathy and I will be presenting at OACAC annual conference. So for those of you joining us down in Dayton here in the next month or so, we would love to see you on that Monday. So Monday, March 10th, 10 to 10:45 is going to be when Kathy and I will present, and we'll get connected with those subcommittee members ahead of time to really present on some of the information that they've highlighted. So it's not just going to be a repeat of what we're talking about today. It's really going to be more of what is the entire LAC looking like, and then we'll kind of give you a showcase on where we are for volunteers and kind of what that call out looks like too. So again, we recognize some folks weren't able to join today. Talking with the professional development committee, they've recording the webinar, and they'll send that out to folks who registered for this. But if you've got a colleague maybe who was out sick today or had to join another meeting or just wasn't able to be here, that's perfectly fine. A lot of great information that they can always reach out to us about, but also too, there is more to come for that. So Kathy and I want to spend the next few minutes here really just kind of going over some of the different questions that you all have, recognizing that there's a lot of information to come here in these next couple of weeks, next couple of months as well.
Okay, so I'm hoping everyone got the link. I know there were some issues, but I know that they threw it back in there. So let us know if you don't see the link. Hopefully it's back in there. Do volunteers pay the full rate for the conference? Yes, volunteers do pay the full rate for the conference, unfortunately. Um, do colleges need to have their tour options finalized before NACAC registration goes live? Um, I think we'll get back to you on that. I don't think so, but that's something that Rayanne will definitely be working with.
Yeah.
The other thing that I want to say here is that for those of you that have been around a while, you know this information. Columbus hosted NACAC back in 2016. And for those of you that were a part of that conference, you know what an incredible success that conference was. So, if you weren't in this profession then, or if you're a younger member, and, this is an incredible opportunity because on one hand, we've got a lot to live up to, right? Because we still want another incredible conference. But on the other hand, we've got people that are volunteering and are part of these subcommittees that did this before, and that is such an incredible help. So again, Rayanne was the one that did the tours last time. So she knows so much information about this. So we will keep these questions, and Lori, we will get back to you on that answer as soon as
Yeah.
possible.
And Kathy, if I can just jump in too, I think
Yeah, please do.
with the colleges needing to have their two options finalized before registration goes live, I think really NACAC wants to have as much information that can be provided by the time of that April 1st registration going live component. We recognize that not every single detail is going to be, set in stone, ironed out at that time, but NACAC really wants just a lot of the bulk information that they can provide for their website for folks to be able to go in to register and say, okay, these 5 institutions are doing these tours on these days. May not have all those direct ins and outs quite yet. Some of that stuff can come as we enter into May and even the summer as well. So again, doesn't have to be 100% full-fledged, concrete, ironed out plan. Just really that skeletal layout to showcase what your institution is doing, what your time frame is thinking, what do those bus routes look like, coming from the convention center too. So that's kind of the piece there. Can you talk a little bit about what's the best way to coordinate visits with other colleges in our region during the college tours? Absolutely. So, it can be as simple as reaching out directly to those other institutions to say, hey, we want to partner with you to get folks to our 2 institutions or our 3 institutions. And we can always connect you with our college tour subcommittee as well to showcase, hey, what are the other institutions doing? How do we connect with that? Especially for those institutions who may not be right here in Central Ohio, who may need to have that bus schedule organized. And obviously, there might be that fiscal component of getting that bus to say, can we use one bus for 3 schools and 3 stops and get that planned out? Absolutely. So that's definitely a great option if you're thinking about doing a tour at your institution. See if you can partner with some of your local institutions. It doesn't have to be everybody does one thing. There can be that partnership across the board as well.
Yeah, and I can speak to the school counselor side. Obviously, when we have conferences in other cities, it is so nice when colleges are grouping together and you can hit 2 or 3, on one bus trip, or it's just really a nice advantage, I think, when you can hit several in one trip. So again, I think it's wonderful to reach out to other schools and connect with them about possibly pairing up and doing one together.
And then,
I want to go back for 1 second to the volunteers pay the full rate. So, we said, yes, they do pay the full rate, but I also want to add that we do get volunteers get, what is it called? A voucher basically for some food. So they do cover some of the food for you. I don't think it's a lot. I want to say maybe $15 food voucher, but it's something. So I do want to share that as well.
Yep. And then Kathy, last one of the other questions in here, deadline to register to volunteer, basically complete the form. We haven't really set a time frame for folks as a deadline. We recognize that this is really the first time a lot of you maybe seen this, so obviously we want you to give you some time for that as well. And this can be an ongoing thing. So I would say, really up until maybe the middle of the summer is when folks can fill it out and go from there. But we also recognize too when folks come back in the fall, maybe on the high school side, you're away for the summer, you come back. If you've got some new colleagues in your office or you've got some people who reached out to you over the summer to say, hey, we saw you're volunteering, we want to volunteer too, how do we sign up? We will keep that document open for a long time. And because we'll take all the volunteers we can get. We're not going to shy people away, and NACAC's never going to shy people away too. So the more the merrier. So we'll keep it open for a while.
We will. I would say if you know for sure you're going to volunteer, please do it on the early side, but absolutely, we will keep that open as long as possible. And I think with summer, we're just trying to front load as much as we can, knowing that sometimes people are trying to get a well-deserved break in the summer where you're not as connected to email and as connected to, everything work related. So, but yes, you will have opportunities pretty far into, you know, probably into fall to volunteer. Fall registration opens the end of March.
Yep. So I would say mark your
Um,
calendar for that last week of March, first week of April. That's when NACAC registration should be open. And then a question here, does NACAC pay for the bus for college tours through the colleges? So that'll be on the institution for those costs. So again, I think for some institutions partnering with other local institutions to say, hey, can we get one bus? Do we maybe split the costs in half or thirds? But the institution will organize their tours, their bus schedule, and then the institution itself will provide NACAC with that information to post on their website. And more to come on that process and how to do that.
okay, so yes, Carrie, we see your message in there, and we will definitely have Rayanne reach out to you so that you can connect with them as well.
I was going to say, I don't know if you hit on it, but I know someone also asked what was the local counselor day.
Oh, when is the local conference day? I'm not sure, Megan, off the top of my head. Um, but Stephanie and Derek will know, so we can follow up with an email with that information as well. I feel like typically it's that Friday, isn't it?
Usually.
I don't know. If Stephanie and Derek, or if you guys are on here, you can throw it into the chat. That would be awesome. Or if anybody else knows.
And these are all great questions too for Kathy and I to figure out what do you all want to know? And that way we can really do that research and figure out what do we need to come to OACAC with in terms of that well-informed information as well.
Oh, Michael, that sounds awesome. And yes, thank you, Megan. We want you to promote it too. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that's the piece from now that you can, for those of you on the high school side, if you've got juniors thinking about ways to volunteer in their senior year, post this on your bulletin boards, post this in school links and say, hey, we've got this conference coming. It's a great way to connect with institutions and it's a great way to kind of showcase yourself. And it's a really cool experience. This doesn't happen very often. There's other great ways to volunteer, but this is truly a once and kind of a long time thing for high school students to say, hey, I volunteered at this organization and this higher ed institution. So yeah, promote it now and get the word out. And we would love to stand up on stage with CEO Angel Perez and say, we have folks from all 88 counties here. We have counselors from all over the state. That's really our main goal for this conference too. So promote, 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 and talk it up and get everybody to sign up too.
Yeah, and obviously those of you that are a part of this webinar today, you probably are here because you're interested in volunteering. So we so appreciate you jumping on. If you have colleagues in your office that kind of want to get involved, if you could share this information with them, that would be wonderful as well, because this truly is, it's just going to be such a great opportunity to give back, to meet wonderful people, and just to showcase our incredible city. So already it has been so nice. I'll speak for Austin, but for both of us to even to get to know our subcommittee more and get to meet people from around the state that, we might see each other at a conference or we might see each other here and there, but to actually get to know each other better is it's just awesome. So just a great opportunity.
For Michael's question for Ohio State, how long is the duration of the college tours? So Monday and Tuesday, our tours are usually a 45-minute presentation with a 90-minute walking tour. And then on Wednesday, it'll be about the same. So we'll have another 60 to 90-minute time frame for our tours going throughout the day as well. And again, that'll be fluid throughout the day. So if folks are flying in late or they're driving in late, if they go, "Hey, I missed the morning session," they can come to the afternoon and maybe even some of the late evening or late afternoon, early evening sessions too. So it's a whole day fluid throughout that for the institution side of things.
Okay, any more last minute questions, things like that? Okay. In that case, we'll go ahead and wrap things up. Thank you so much, Kathy. Thank you, Austin, for all your information, all of that. Hopefully, you get a lot of people volunteering, seeing you in Columbus. But if anyone needs it, we do have a form this year for the certificate of completion for this. If anyone needs it, I can go ahead and drop that link in the chat here now for you guys to fill out. But otherwise, thank you all for attending, and thank you guys again for giving the presentation.
You're welcome. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.